Right, Kassad, do you have a hot take for us?
Yes. First of all, I will add on EN strain. And, in the light of the recent results and the past work of the organization and the stuff in the team, I might say that Snappy right now is the best IGL we have. Okay. Number one IGL that we have. Like, simply, just look at the IGLs in the first top 10 teams, right? You have Heroic, who you have Vitality, who is number one. You have Apex. Yes, he did well. Yes, their T-sides were better than they were before. Yes, he does have Zaivu, and he does have Spinks, and that's, by the way, that's the Ents player as well, before he joined Vitality. So he's a solid IGL, but that's like saying Pep Guardiola is like the absolute manager of the year in England, which he absolutely wasn't fucking not. When you have like 7 different, managers who did very well on that season, but I just don't want to go into that. But the thing is, like, you have Cadian. We discussed that. Maui knows that, and he has his takes, and we all know and we all agree what happens there. Nafani, I'm not even going to go to there. I'm not going to go towards.
Why even bridge his name? I know.
Just like because I'm going through the rankings and Karrigan as well. It's like all these like IGLs right now, they are not up to their standards, especially Karrigan. Yes, he's one of the all-time great in-game leaders, no doubt about that. But recently, he has been dropped off. Like, he has been on his level. The team that he is leading is not on the same level, and we discussed that as well. However, Snappy, the guy who wasn't the IGL to begin with, right? Back in 2000, whatever, 13.
Yeah.
And he transitioned into it, and he took a break from CS. He came back. He got his shot in Ents, and he has the players that we discussed before, like Diha, Madden, Sampayas, and Nurse. Nobody from those players are like some sort of, you would like think like, who is your ultimate lineup today? Are you gonna say any of those teams, any of those names? No. Is it gonna be a second top 5 lineup? Like, any of those players, are you gonna put them in the all-time, like, this moment, like 5 against 5? You're not gonna pick any Ents players, right? You're just gonna pick whatever, like from G2 and Navi and stuff like that, right? Liquid, I don't even know. But the thing is, like, he has all these players. He got Spinks taken from him to Vitality, the best player. They struggled with Valde. Now they made the right change, and they constantly perform well with what they have. Like I said, their salaries are not great. The organization is super healthy, super good. They're getting the results, and finally they got the event. In the last 3 to 4 months, I think he's not by far, but he's definitely number one IGL in our CSGO pro scene.
Okay. Ooh. You want to take this, Maui?
Yeah. The one contest is Cadian for me. That's the only other in-game leader I would say is, based off of recent results, is probably or possibly better than him. Okay, so because I want to use your same argument. I want to use the same argument of like, would you take anybody to be in the all CSGO first team? That's kind of how I'm trying to break that down. Yes. Like the NBA concept, just 5 best kind of in their roles. Would you take anybody from Heroic? Probably not in that first team, and probably not, well, definitely not from Ents. And then when you say the second team, I guess there is actually a case that Stown maybe would make the all pro second team right now. And so, but I think that Snappy's working with a better opper than Cadian. So that's kind of like one of the few differences.
And Cadian is the opper. You see what he did there, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that it's a good topic because it's hard to argue wholly against it right now. It's really difficult to say like Snappy isn't, because the only other guy I have is Cadian. So I would say it's pretty much 1A, 1B for me in terms of like tactics and everything like that. Basically, what I saw at Dallas was so impressive from Ents and from the calling. I'll still give the edge to Cadian though, because I'm going to say his CT side calling or whatever they've done as a team, I would say is better than Ents' CT side calling, which I would say relies a little bit more on just Sunpius doing whatever he wants to do every single round. And I think they kind of built their structure around that for Ents. So I'll say that I'll still side with Cadian on this one, but it is a very good take. It's a very good take.
51-49 maybe in your book.
I'll do like 53-47. Yeah,
just a little more. You say it's hard to make a case, but I'm built for things like this. So here's the problem. Right now, there are 3 IGLs, in my opinion, you would pick. If you were starting a brand new team, you don't know what players you're getting, and you want to win tournaments. The 3 IGLs are Cadian, Snappy, or Karrigan. These are the obvious 3 that you would take right now. I don't think there's anyone else that's on the table. No one else deserves to be in this conversation. But the problem is, there are pluses and minuses to all 3. So for example, if I have to pick the one that I already I've already seen Cadian do it, and he's had top teams, and I think his actual general consistency, minus the semis and finals, is very, very impressive, actually. There's a reason why here's what Cadian and them don't even seem to get in their team. We're not actually doing a meme from 6 months ago. Dude, at the major, we couldn't even conceive you would lose to Gamer Legion because you're the best at beating the bad teams. That's one thing, actually, I think a lot of tier 1 pros and analysts really appreciate. We're sick of having elite teams that we tell some dickhead from Dota, well, check out this team, they're number 1. And then they just get bounced by some fucking morons at the elimination game. We never had to worry about that with Heroic. That's why it was shocking to see Mouse taking a final from you, Gamer Legion taking a final. But aside from that, if I look over the whole 6 months, I look into last year with the same lineup, this is the guy where I could trust he's going to get to the semi-finals. I know that he's going to get through a map veto. I know that his team's going to play well. They're going to have runs even in games where they're losing. So part of me wants to pick Cadian, but I actually agree. I had a similar joke. The one thing that I have a problem with Cadian is, if he's the IGL, technically I can't blame anything he does as a player, right? But as an IGL, Shaw keeps calling a lot of players and saves for his AWPer that's overrated. See what I did there? It's the same concept. You're actually, and that is where, by the way, here's another thing. I won't make a whole thing, I'll probably do my own video on it. But it's actually, basically Maui's like the flak that comes out of the fucking F-16 that makes the missile explode next to it instead of on the F-16. Because if you don't know, that was even my take that Cadian has main character syndrome. I had that months and months ago. I told you guys that I think the main problem with their team is that he actually I told you, he doesn't want to just win. He wants to win, and he makes the heroic play. It's all about, no joke, he wants every single match for heroic, the tournament trophy, to end like that Pro League. He wants to be the one who does the play, and then at the end, yeah, sure, congrats to this play, but he wants it to be, did it. It was all him. There is a part of that. I see I'm going to do it in my video, but I see a certain sickness with some of his camera hungriness. Because there's one thing to the camera to play. There's almost he is like that fucking, they love me, want me, need me. There's something a bit repulsive about that, mate. There really is. You're like one of those fucking Roman emperors that got way out of whack and was making your fucking horse a general and shit. Something fucked up about you, mate. You just want the person with the slave with the thing fanning you with the fucking massive leaves. There's something wrong with that. But okay, I do think you might be the best IGL. My problem is, if you're in a final, don't trust you. Don't fucking trust you as far as I could throw you. So then we come to Snappy. Right. If you're going pound for pound with the players he's working with, Snappy is the best. He's the only one we've seen out of the 2, by the way, who can actually consistently develop talent. Remember, all these players, none of them were ever as good, barring maybe Madden when he was more of a star in FPX. None of them were ever as good. Some Pius wasn't this good at Movistar. I told you he was overrated at the time. He was a one-dimensional player. The fucking Nerds guy, right? We've got to stop pretending once you see they're good, they were always good and didn't develop. Spoiler, Spinks just had to develop for 9 months in fucking, or 6 months in Vitality, one of the best teams in the world. And what did Snappy get? He didn't get that Spinks. That Spinks is the one Apex and Sonic was struggling with. He's getting Nerds and fucking Spinks from teams like Endpoint. Endpoint! If you don't know, that's Into the Breach, some nobody team you've never heard of. You wouldn't even pretend you give a shit about. So these players don't have any of the experience, and he brings them in, and he doesn't just make them work. Remember, when they take Flames from OG to Vitality now, they're not going to tell him be the best player in the world. When they take Spinks and Nerds, they're like, we're going to make you a top 5 player in the world. That's how we're going to go to titles. That's mate, if you can do that, that's you're worth your weight in gold. You've got the fucking magic pixie dust. Every org wants you now. It's why I'm shocked that people like Team Liquid, G2 aren't just ringing his phone off the fucking hook 24/7.
I'll answer you that one.
The thing is, he gets kids. He gets kids with bad habits, without a structure, without anything. He gets them in hands. He brings them up. He deals with all the childish diseases that I have, with the bad habits and all these things, coming into the pro team, dealing with the personalities and egos. He grows them into these players like Spinks is. And then there is Vitality, just plucks them, or whoever, right? Just imagine if he was in G2 instead of Hooksy.
Of course.
He would use the same players who are already developed, like Hunter, like Nico. He would have to work with Monessi. You tell me if is Monessi better than Sampayas? Yes. Does he have more talent? Yes. Did he do more? Maybe not. They're about the same at some point. I don't even know. But the thing is, like, it's just very frustrating to see. Like, for example, you have Nafani, who has Shiro and Exile, and he cannot get even close to Snappy and what he does. Hooksy, oh lord. Nico, one of the biggest and the most, impactful players to ever play the game, he can't do it. And then you have Snappy, who gets nerds, and Sun Pius from Movie Star Riders, and he wins Dallas, and he plays all these events pretty well. So it's just frustrating. But to answer your wondering why Liquid is not doing that, I spoke to like I said, I spoke to Snappy after Dallas. We just chatted about different things, whatever. And I was like, I deliberately asked him, surely somebody's gonna, come at you and just, call you up. And he's like, no, I don't think so, and I'm happy here. I'm happy here. That's what he said in a private message to me. I am happy. There is no I will think about it. There is no yeah, maybe. I am happy here. So it means that he's not going anywhere.
I'll just say, I don't believe that. G2, team, keep ringing. Just keep going. He'll get through eventually. Even if it's engaged right now, don't worry. I'll make sure he picks up, okay? I'll get him a fucking aniseed, whatever, pastis or whatever. I'll give him a couple of those. I'll tell him, think of what it could be. The boats, the cars, the women. It's your time, bro. You've put in the hard time and the mad. Listen, those kids will develop on their own out there. Fuck them kids. You know my motto. Now get in there. Get that fucking Nico. Get that Monastery. Let's go to the top, motherfucker. Now, here's the thing. This is why, by the way, on the Snappy angle, this is why every pleb who doesn't know Counter-Strike thinks MSL was never good and I always overrated him. Because you're so dumb, you look after the fact at the names once he's developed them and go, they're just good players though. So everyone goes, yeah, he might have won that Epicenter, but he had Config and Magisk. Oh, you mean first of all when he was Magisk boy, and then secondly, you mean when these players were fucking nobody. There's a reason they later got the invite to Astralis, almost 2 years later, 1.5 years later, because he fucking developed it and showed they could be world class. Then he won that DreamHack Masters Stockholm. Spoiler, I'll play a little game with you all right now. So when he won DreamHack Masters Stockholm, it was MSL, AZ, because it always was. It was Valde. Can anyone even name the other two players?
Nico?
Notice no one's fourth. Nico's one. Now one more.
And
that was just to make a point. It was actually Kirby who was the fifth. But the point is, look at that lineup. You busted up Kirby, who wasn't even that good anymore. Izzy, you all said should be cut about 3 years earlier. Valde was playing supportive roles. And Nico isn't the one with the fucking K or the C. It's the fucking guy who basically Hunter was trying to entrap in some sort of fucked up after school session. This is insane. He won a fucking tier 1 tournament. When you can do that, I am Dallas, you get the props. You get the props. No, not the players. You get the props. We don't even know, we saw with Spinks, if those players are that good yet. I saw fucking Config leave that team. Didn't see him fucking getting top 5 in the HLTV top org or whatever. I saw Magus go over and not even be the fucking second choice for Astralis. It was Kirby first, then it was fucking Config, and then they were going to take Magus. They didn't even have him top 2. So everyone now, obviously said, no, that's why they do get the credit. But the last thing I'll say is this. The reason why you can never exclude Karrigan is because one of Karrigan's problems is this. They've never ever attempted to have a really top coach. They've never attempted to do it in this team. So he's trying to do it all on his own. And in some ways, by the way, he's in the Cadian boat himself for me for that. I think he wants to do it and he wants to know it was all him. And it was his genius. And he was right with all those teams that come. And he was right all the... I think there's a bit of that in Karrigan too. And lastly, I will also say as well, if you're in a team like his, you're not doing the same game as Snappy. There's no one you're developing. You're herding cats. You're trying one of the hardest things, which is you're working with superstar egos and you're trying to give something as one while taking something to give to the other one while going then and then going to raid. I haven't got anything left, mate, so just give me what you got. And then after all that, you know that when you run in there and create space and all those amazing players tear up, Brokey wins the 1vx, Rops does the amazing close, you know at the end of it all, even if you're in the game, every dickhead tells you should be cut from the team. But I'll tell you what, in spite of all that, even in your worst moments, your worst games, everyone's on the show saying you're not even top 5, you're not even good anymore, you need to replace Rain. After all that, every single playoff series or big match, you have a call that could go in the fucking like all-time great calls book of IGLs. Like these are the ones that, like, listen, young IGLs, this is your dream. In the same way as a football player dreams of scoring the cup-winning goal, Roy of the Rovers. This is what you dream of doing as an IGL, being on the stage, doing the 29th round call. You even do the call where they can't believe you're going to do it because it'd be too ballsy to lose the game like that. And that's exactly the call you make. And you just punch them in their face. And the amount of times he's now done it every single tournament, guys, for about 5 tournaments in a row now. It's ridiculous. So here's the problem. Karrigan's factor is this. The one thing he has that Snappy and Cadian don't is he can do that in the biggest pressure moments. That's where they sometimes flounder. Like, Snappy's only done it once. His problem is he gets to look good Zimu style because he hasn't been in 10 finals or 4 majors like fucking simple. He's just big and chilling. Like, go out in the quarters. Pretty good job by me. Shouldn't expect anything. Like, that's cool. That's cute. But that's why I want you in G2. So there's no excuses anymore. Now I want to see. I'll give you essentially, if this is Formula 1, I'll give you the best car, mate. Now let's see if you can win the championship. You have to actually do it now. There's no excuses. There's no reasons. So the problem is, if I have to pick between the 3, I'd probably just by aggregate take Cadian. He's been there. He's sort of better on average. He seems to have a better idea of the current meta. I don't like the IGL thing, but he's winning in spite of it anyway. I'd probably edge to Cadian personally, but I can see the argument for Snappy.
Listen, just to add to this. First, I would love to see Snappy in a Formula 1 car, like, the G2. Because if Hooksy got the chance...
why not?
Formula 1.
Yeah,
if Hooksy got the chance, why Snappy shouldn't get one?
Because obviously he wouldn't actually be a Formula 1 car, of course.
Yes, he can get the more money than he is getting in ENTs right now and still be under the budget in G2.
Yep.
I'll tell you that for 100%, right? If Alexi got the chance, why shouldn't Snappy get one, right?
Yep.
I don't want that for Madden because then the ENTs is going to be in trouble, and then that's a whole other thing. But I do disagree with the Karrigan working in the hardest environment because FaZe doesn't have an ego. Like Rain doesn't have an ego.
Are you kidding me, mate? You're going to do this bullshit now where you've had beers with him. I'll tell you right now, Twist has an enormous ego. It's just he has a very interesting one. You know what, Rops? He has a very clever kind of ego. And I'll tell you what, Brokey, the joke is, mate, he'd just actually open up once and tell us something in an interview if he didn't have an ego. They all have an ego, mate.
No, I mean, everybody has some sort of an ego, Brad. I don't think they have a problematic ego.
Rain does
whatever it needs to be done. Robs can be worked with. It's not like he's going to be defying
this is fair enough,
Yeah. The thing is, like, he doesn't work on the hardest possible conditions. Like, if you working, for example, like Simple would be difficult, right? Because the way he is, but then he is compensating with like tremendous skill and being the best of all time, right? That would be difficult because sometimes he would just not understand that not everyone can do the things that he can do. But anyway, FaZe is not that type of team. They don't have those problems. I'm 100% sure on that one. The second point, yes, Karrigan can make a tremendous call that you can write down in the great book of the big calls or whatever. But on that very same call, he has about 6 bad ones in the very same map. If you look at the demos, you can find at least 5 or 6 bad ones that absolutely make no sense to me at this point. Because there is so many and people that is going to be dumbasses now. But you can see the X-ray and you can see the demo and it's easy to be the general after the fight. It's not that hard. I was there. I see the game and I understand, right? So in those situations where he makes a great call, those calls are great. Don't get me wrong. But there's like 5 or 6 calls that are absolutely bad. Simply because, you know why? Because he doesn't have a support from a proper coach. He doesn't have that behind him. And that we tied to your point is like that he wants to do it all alone for some reason for many, many years. Yeah, he had that guy in Mousesports, Raging or whatever his name was. And they were working fine, right? They won that 5 events, whatever that was. And he's a normal
he was
coach.
bringing some stuff as far as I know.
He was a tactical coach, somebody who was like involved. Why didn't you do something like that in FaZe as well?
Great.
What's stopping you? Roban is doing his own thing. He's good. From what I understand from Nico back in the day when he was in FaZe, he said that Roban is a must-have a personality around you because he's always like a positive presence in whatever is happening, no matter how hard the situation. So I'm not bashing on Robin right now because he's all right in my book, right? But when it comes to the tactical side, then why don't you just bring someone who can bring you? And they lost their analyst, that guy Inner something.
Shine.
Can't remember.
Shine,
and the thing is, like I said, on every big call, yes, but if you can do this yourself, if you are capable of doing this, making these tremendous calls Why would you not make it easy on yourself and have like multiple calls with a helper from your coach who can, in the stressful situation where you don't have the solution, call a timeout for you and explain, listen, they're doing this, we need to counter it with this, and we're gonna, in the next 2 rounds, we're gonna go with that. And then you open the path for Karrigan to get more of those legendary calls instead of just only fucking one. Right,
Yes.
That's my problem, and that's why I cannot say that he's the best right now. Is he the one of the greatest of all time to do it in CSGO? Yes, obviously the results are showing. Nobody's denying that, but right now, this is the problem.
See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, you know, be a pleb and don't.